Hi, I'm Emily Lacaze, a reporter here at the Clarion-Ledger, and coming to you from behind the reporting. I'm here today to talk to you about a story that USA Today, one of our Gannett sister organizations, wrote about trust fund fraud in nursing homes, and it focuses very heavily on a case that happened here in Mississippi, specifically a couple of nursing homes in Vicksburg owned by the same corporation. Now, the story talks in general about trust fund fraud in nursing homes, which is a pretty common problem. And what happens is nursing home residents have these trust funds set up, which are like little bank accounts that the nursing home then administers and manages. Residents can go and get their money out of it and make purchases. Money comes from family members or maybe their Social Security check, Medicaid check, Medicare check, that type of thing. And what happens in these cases, as happened in the Vicksburg case, is that people who are overseeing the trust funds for the nursing homes have the ability to take money out of it for their own personal gain. It's just a situation of these people have the opportunity to commit a crime against some of our most vulnerable citizens, many of whom have dementia, Alzheimer's, and just really aren't aware of what's going on with their trust funds. So this case in Vicksburg is particularly interesting just because of the egregiousness of what had happened. They had a trust fund administrator who took, over the course of 1 year, over $101,000 out of the trust funds of at least 83 residents and spent it on clothing, makeup, jewelry, items for herself and her family. And she did this by cutting checks for petty cash that the residents so-called used for themselves, and in fact she used it for herself. The way it was discovered was the manager of the nursing home happened one day to see something laying on the printer that the trust fund administrator had meant to hide, and it led her to discover that that trust fund administrator had purchased 2 pair of designer jeans from Buckles and credited it to the trust fund account of an elderly resident of the nursing home who had no legs. So kind of raised a red flag. Why would this old legless man purchase a pair of designer women's blue jeans from Buckles? And that led her to discover that there were numerous instances where this trust fund manager or administrator had stolen money for similar things, saying that the residents had purchased it when in fact she had purchased it. What this USA Today investigation found is that this is just one of hundreds of cases across the nation, and dozens in Mississippi that have happened. It's common in that sense. It's rare to see it to the point at which we saw it in Vicksburg. But the point of the story is that when you are placing a loved one in one of these facilities, you really need to be careful and make sure that the facility that your loved one is going into has a good reputation, has not racked up deficiencies like this, and has their checks and balances in place. And you also need to do your due diligence. Request the trust fund report. You are owed that report quarterly, and if you don't get it, keep demanding until you do. There are also programs in place where you can file complaints against nursing homes that you believe are acting irresponsibly and potentially illegally. Along with this story, we've also created a database that the Clarion-Ledger was very heavily involved in, that you can go online and research deficiencies at the nursing homes right here in Mississippi or anywhere in the country where you may have a loved one. It's a pretty comprehensive database allowing you to see numerous deficiencies, quality ratings, and all types of other things. So I encourage you to read the story, check out the database, and also coming Sunday is going to be another story that I wrote focusing on deficiencies in general at nursing homes across the state.